Hi, my name's Emmy, and today I'm going to be talking about why I think Anne Frank is important. Imagine being 13 years old and waking up one morning to learn that your entire life has changed forever. You can't go outside, you can't go to school, you can't see your friends or play at the park. Every footstep you take must be quiet because one wrong sound could put your family in danger. Most of us can't even imagine living like that for a week, let alone for more than 2 years. Yet during that time, one young girl chose not to let fear define her. Instead of giving up, she picked up a pen and wrote about her dreams, her fears, her family, and the future that she hoped to have. This girl was Anne Frank. Today, I want to commemorate Anne Frank not simply because of the tragedy she experienced, but because of the incredible example she left behind. Anne Frank deserves to be celebrated because she never lost hope in humanity. She demonstrated remarkable courage in impossible circumstances, and she showed the world that one ordinary voice can leave an extraordinary legacy. The first reason Anne Frank deserves to be celebrated is because she never lost hope. In 1942, Anne and her family were forced into hiding in a secret annex in Amsterdam during World War II. For over 2 years, she lived in a few small rooms with several other people. They couldn't open the windows during the day, walk outside, or even make loud noises because they feared being discovered. Imagine spending your whole teenage years confined into a tiny space, wondering every single day if someone would find you. Despite all of this, Anne refused to stop dreaming. She continued studying, reading books, celebrating birthdays, and imagining what her future might look like. She hoped to become a journalist and an author one day. Even though she had every reason to believe she might never leave the annex, she still wrote as if she had a future waiting for her. One of her most famous quotes says, "In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart." That sentence amazes me every time I hear it. Think about the circumstances she was living in through when she wrote those words. She had witnessed hatred, discrimination, and violence. Yet somehow she still chose optimism instead of bitterness. She teaches us that hope is not ignoring hardship. Hope is choosing to believe there is still good in the world, even when life gives you every reason to think otherwise. Today, when we face challenges in school, work, or our personal lives, Anne Frank reminds us that our circumstances do not have to determine our attitude. Even in darkness, we can choose hope. The second reason Anne Frank deserves to be celebrated is because of her courage. Many people think that courage means never feeling afraid. Anne Frank shows us something very different. Courage means continuing even when you are afraid. Every single day in hiding, Anne lived with uncertainty. Every knock on the door, every unexpected noise, every passing stranger could have meant the end for her family. She knew the dangers that were in, yet she continued to write honestly about everything she was experiencing. She wrote about feeling lonely. She wrote about arguments with her family. She wrote about growing up. She wrote about her dreams. She kept dreaming and she kept believing. Those simple actions may not seem extraordinary at first, but they were acts of incredible bravery. Anne refused to let fear take away from her identity. She remained curious, thoughtful, and hopeful even when the future was uncertain. Her courage wasn't the kind you see in action movies. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet courage, the courage to stay true to yourself, to continue learning, to continue believing, and to continue finding joy in the smallest moments. Sometimes the strongest people are continue not the ones who never experience fear. They are the ones who refuse to let fear control who they become. The final reason Anne Frank deserves to be celebrated is because she proved that one voice can change the world. Anne dreamed of becoming a writer. Sadly, she never got the opportunity to fulfill that dream during her lifetime. After her family was discovered in 1944, Anne was arrested and later died in a concentration camp at only 15 years old. Her father, Otto Frank, was the only member of the family who survived the Holocaust. After the war, he found Anne Frank's diary and made the decision to publish it because he believed the world needed to hear her voice. That decision changed history. Today, Anne Frank's diary has been translated into dozens of languages and has been read by millions of people around the world. Students continue to read it in classrooms, families discuss it together, and visitors travel from across the globe to visit the annex she wrote her story in. Her diary reminds us that history is more than dates, battles, and statistics. Behind every historical event are real people with dreams, families, and futures. Anne allows us to see the Holocaust not only through history books, but through the eyes of a teenager who loved writing, laughing with her sister, arguing with her parents, and imagined what life would be like after the war. Although hatred tried to silence her, her words became louder than the hatred itself. Although her life was cut short, her message continued to live on. Although she was only one young girl, she changed how millions of people understood history. This is the true power of one voice. As we remember Anne Frank today, we are celebrating much more than a diary. We are celebrating hope that refused to disappear, courage that never gave in to fear, and words that continue to inspire people nearly a century later. Anne Frank never got the chance to graduate from school. She never became the famous author she dreamed of being. She never got to see the impact her writing would have had on the world. Yet every time someone opens her diary, her voice speaks again. Every time a student learns about kindness instead of hatred, she is remembered. Every time someone chooses hope over despair, her legacy lives on. Anne Frank once wrote that she wanted to go on living even after my death. Looking around the world today, I think it's safe to say that she accomplished that. Thank you.